Hey everybody, welcome back to my Lego City, where I've got a little bit of stuff to show you and a lot of things to ask you about. I need your input, I need your feedback, very specifically now on a handful of things. The first thing is the noise. As you can see and hear, I've got two of my main trains running right now. I don't have the elevated rail line going. It's just the track isn't quite hooked up properly right now, but you know, I've got the main ones going. This one's going a little bit slow right now. Just kind of have it on a low speed and it goes a little bit slower going up the hill there. But this is being recorded live. I am narrating this live, and that's what I like to do. I like to run the trains. I like to show you the trains running because they look cool and they bring life to the layout. I like seeing them running around. And I like doing live recordings of videos. I think I did one city update fairly recently where I had the trains running, but I was narrating separately. I narrated afterwards so that I could turn down the sound of the trains, and you know, that I think that gives kind of the best experience for all of you, but I prefer to just do it live, you know, to just be more natural about things like usual. So let me know what you think about the sound here. I'm actually going to come over here where the trains come together. I think it's a little bit louder over on this side when both trains come around. Now let me know if this is acceptable here. I'm not going to run the trains the whole time through this video because you know, this is kind of just a test, and I'm going to wait for your feedback about that. I'll turn them off in just a minute here. But I really want to hear what you all think about this in general. Is it worth it to actually have all this noise in the background? Or would you prefer that I leave the trains off? I definitely don't want to get into the habit of separately recording the video and then adding the narration later. It just doesn't feel good to me. So the two choices are run the trains or don't run the trains while doing videos like this. Let me know which you prefer, and you can go ahead and leave that comment right now. You know, I don't have to wait for the rest of the video because that's just it. But I'm going to go ahead and turn these off. So where's the inside loop? Reaching for it. And the outside loop is coming around. See, so much less noise in the background now. But you know, if you can hear me well enough with that going, then that'll be a good thing. If you can't, if it bugs you, if this right here, this level of sound is so much better, then you know, I'm on y'all. Whatever works best for you. So since I'm here, I can show you the one thing that I have to show in the city, which is just the addition of some more color over here, you know, bringing in some more reddish brown like I started experimenting with back over here, just this little area in between. Once again, I've run low on parts, as always happens. You know, do a little bit of work and run out of parts, and run to Bricklink, get some more parts and run out of parts. You know, it's a constant cycle and struggle, but I got a fair amount in there. And as I've explained, well, as I did explain previously, around the time when I put this kind of test in, this is not the final. This is not how it's going to be. The track itself is going to be raised up. You know, the ground in between is not going to be higher. The track will be raised up with one layer of tiles, mostly tiles beneath here, which will be to float the whole thing. But I explained all that before. But just you know, adding in the color itself kind of gives you the preview of what it'll look like from any kind of distance for this area. It's not going to cover the entire layout with the brown like that, but I'll definitely add it somewhat in here, definitely in here. This will continue on, you know, be filled in, and then all this area over here, this half, this part of the yard, kind of the other yard, if you will, they're kind of separated out, but you know, that'll be filled in between with more brown. And then some parts of the city won't have, I mean, most parts of the city won't have the brown. Like, I'm not sure what I'll do here. This may actually have more of the green spilling into it, but the big deal here is just getting rid of a lot of the gray. You know, I've had a major gray problem with this city since the start with the gray tables. You know, I chose the gray intentionally because it kind of fits in to the background with the color of the road base plates and such. And then I brought in the gray underneath the train tracks when I finally brought in base plates back there, which is better. It has the texture and allows me to connect things. You know, it's just better long term, but it's still gray. So I've taken out a bunch of gray back there, and I look forward to taking out more. Let me know what you think of that, how it looks from any kind of distance, you know, how that just kind of feels to you in general. Now I'm going to move over here and get on to the next topic of discussion, and the next thing that I need to hear from many of you about. It's the Nexo Nights layout. So obviously this is still all year one stuff. It's season 1 and season 2 sets together, which I really liked when I put them in. Well, when I put in season 1 stuff, and then when I put in the season 2 stuff, it got a little bit more crowded. But it's still, to me, just nice to see all this stuff as a theme all together. You know, really just shows what the sets are all about. However, there is quite a lot of repetition, especially with figures. Like, let's see, right here. Sorry about the shakiness, but right here I'm looking at 4 errands. Yeah, there's Aaron over there. There's one there. There's one there, and then there's one there. You know, just within one shot. So there's a lot of repetition with the figures, and we're now on to year 2 and season 3. So I've reviewed almost, as of the time of the recording of this video, I've reviewed almost all of the season 3 sets so far. There are you know, just a handful of others to go, but now the question becomes what to do down here. Would you like to see me put in all of the new stuff and just the new stuff? I kind of would like to keep the Fortrex for now. You know, I think that's still going to remain relevant through this season. I don't think they're going to blow it up just yet, but no spoilers. I don't know what's coming up. I haven't been looking for releases of the new TV season, you know, ahead of time in other countries or anything. But you know, the choices here are keep this just as it is because it has a lot more color than the new season stuff. You know, that's actually one possible option. Or take all of this, remove all of this entirely and replace it with the season 3 stuff for now. And then once season 4 comes in, bring that in. I'll probably need to change out some of the base plates as well to make it more gray, just to fit in with the look of the new season. Or mix things together. So really leave this, mix the new and the old, or bring in just the new. I'm definitely going to leave this as a Nexo Nights layout for the time being, so there's no option to replace this with Star Wars or replace it with Ninjago or anything like that, you know, or anything custom. I don't have the time for that. It's, you know, this is going to be Nexo Nights for the foreseeable future, but I'm looking for some input on those 3 options. Leave this, mix new and old, or bring in just a bunch of new stuff and actually create the new, you know, the new season stuff, which is not going to look as exciting, I think, because of the color scheme, but certainly it'll be a lot more relevant. So looking forward to your feedback about that. And then I'm going to move down to this side of the city. Let's see what things look like over here. Nope, not here. All the way over here, outside of the city, actually. I need your feedback about some of this stuff. Because look at this. I've got the Force Awakens sets over here, which I'm holding on to, and I'm kind of thinking about just keeping the Force Awakens stuff for the time being, and actually possibly even keeping it through the entire sequel trilogy, just to have a continuous collection of all that stuff, you know, until the new trilogy is complete. There might be some value in being able to compare some stuff, but I mean, some of this stuff probably won't be valid or useful anymore because, you know, we're not on Jakku anymore, and Takodana got all ruined. I mean, maybe we'll go back to Kanata's castle, maybe, find some other stuff. Maybe there's another lightsaber that she had or something. I don't know. But some of this stuff probably isn't relevant anymore. Will we go to another snowy area that will use that snow speeder for more than 1 second on screen? I don't know. But here's the problem that I have. This stuff is just sitting here. It's just sitting here. It's not doing anything. It has value if it becomes more relevant in the upcoming movies, and some of this needs to be used again, looked at again, compared to newer sets. But in the meantime, nothing is happening here. Let me know if you have any just general input, general thoughts about that. I'm open to ideas, because this just doesn't feel right to me to just have a collection of stuff that's not really getting any value. It's not bringing much value to me. Like, I like to look at some of the stuff, like especially that resistance troop transport, which it's such a weird thing, but there's a lot of interesting stuff about it. I like the level of texture and how many colors it has in such a gray thing, and how many shapes it has. It's a little bit inspiring to me, but some of the other stuff, not so much. And when I personally really like something, I put it out on display, where it has the value for me, and you can see that. You can see my interest when I have something actually out, when I really appreciate how something looks. I put it out where I can see it and benefit from it, just from my own personal enjoyment. But yeah, any ideas what to do with this Force Awakens stuff? Similarly, what about the Rogue One stuff? I mean, that's sitting over there. Okay, the ATST, that has some value still. That's an original trilogy thing. So that's original trilogy is good stuff. And will they make another ATST in the future? Yes, I am sure they will. The U-Wing, will we be seeing that again? I don't know. Y-Wing, yeah, another original trilogy thing. But TIE Striker, will we see that again? I don't know. This tank, this not hover tank, will we see that again? I doubt it. Krennic's shuttle, probably not. I mean, it was a prototype in the first place that was old by the time we saw it. So, what's the value of keeping some of this stuff? Is there anything that any of you would like to see me do with Rogue One stuff or with the Force Awakens stuff? I'm not going to do a Star Wars layout. That's just not my thing. At least not anytime soon. That's for sure. Like, not within the next year or two. But in the nearer term, anything that doesn't involve setting up a layout, if you have any ideas, let me know. I'm open to ideas. I'm looking for ideas and input on that. I have some older Star Wars stuff that I've held on to down here, and those I am going to keep long term. I probably should get the B-Wing back. I don't know why I got rid of the B-Wing already. I should probably get one of those once again. But some of that stuff, again, original trilogy stuff and just old classic, by now it's classic, Lego Star Wars stuff is good to hold on to, I feel. But that's that. So if you have any input, any ideas, let me know about that. And then I'm going to bring you over to this side of the city for the next question. No, the next thing that I want to show you. Not this side of the city. Nope. I'm going to bring you over here to the workbench to show you that's the one thing that I've done. That's all that I've done since the last time you saw the Octan factory. I've just been thinking about what shapes to use for the upper walls of this thing, and just kind of quietly sobbing inside over the struggle for parts, because once again I have had to make another big Bricklink order for hundreds of parts for those windows. I believe I am going to use that style of window. It's not going to be exactly this pattern that you see here, but I definitely do need to have windows, so I'm probably going to be doing something like that. Hopefully I'll be able to make at least one full floor without having to order more white pieces, because you've seen me get new white pieces from Bricklink recently enough, and that's a lot of pieces. But I don't know, it's probably gonna probably going to be used up just for one single floor. There are 2 more floors that are going to be done on this. You know, this is going to have 2 white floors above this, and then the roof also needs to be done. So I'm probably going to run out of parts once again, which sucks. Constantly running out of parts, getting so many pieces, and yet every single build that I make requires Bricklink orders. It's very, very annoying. I need to make more small stuff, but I need to make more big stuff because I need to fill in all these big spaces that are empty so that this can stop looking quite the same all the time. But yeah, that's just that. That's it on the Octan Factory, but a lot of questions for all of you. The sound. Do you want me to continue to run the trains when I'm doing videos like this? And then the Nexo Nights layout, you want to see me keep it like this with all the colors of the year 1 stuff? You want me to mix year 1 and year 2? Or should I just switch this over to a purely year 2 layout? And then with the Star Wars stuff that's on the shelves back there, the Force Awakens stuff, the Rogue One stuff, do you have any ideas about that? What I can do with that stuff back there to actually use it, to actually bring some value, especially to all of you. You know, is there anything that I'm not thinking of? And that's just that. So lots of stuff covered and lots of input, hopefully, to get from many of you. So I thank you in advance for your feedback on some of that stuff, and I'll talk to you again soon.